Representative Miller moves to suspend the rules for the purpose of taking up the conference committee report at this time.
Without objection.
House Bill 952 by Representative Miller provides relative to consumable hemp products, regulation of hemp products requirements, limits on serving. The conference committee report does not appear to be confined to the disagreement as signed by 5 of the 6 conferees.
Rep. Miller.
Members, the conference committee report does exactly what we talked about. First, what it did, there was a change with the testing, but it was just technical. So when you first get the distillate, instead of testing it for all the solvents and the different microbials, you're gonna do that on the final batch. So the final product, you do the 5-panel test. On the distillate, you only do the potency test. On the tinctures, currently right now, you can do 0.3% THC, which can come out to be like 80 milligrams. We dropped that to where it's a total limit of 30 milligrams for a tincture. The third thing we did was, restaurants and bars. If you currently have a hemp license, you would be grandfathered in, but there would be no new license at this time. And that's the extent of the conference report. Mr. Speaker, I don't know if you want me to get into detail of the bill or just stay on the conference report for now.
Rep. Thomas for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Miller, would you please educate us about what is a tincture?
A tincture, I actually have one.
Whoa.
That's to educate me myself. It's not mine. They brought it today. So tincture is what some people use to take to go to sleep. They take a drop and they put it on their tongue. And so currently, some of them can get up to 80 or 90 milligrams, and we decreased it to 30 milligrams, and we limited the size to this, which could only be, it's 1 ounce.
Okay.
So
What?
make a 2 ounce. It was like, no, this is all you can make.
Okay. And so 1 drop would equal what?
1 milligram.
1 milligram. Yep. So in your bill, somebody could do 3 drops. Is that what you're saying?
They recommend only 1 milliliters a day.
Okay. What's an extract?
That's not nothing they make, an extract. I'm not sure.
Well, it says
They extract it from the plant.
tinctures, extracts, and concentrates.
You might be talking when they extract it from the plant. It might just be a name what they call this, but all we talked about was tinctures.
Okay. Next question is, I believe I heard Madam Clerk say that 5 people signed the
Yes,
conference
ma'am. All three
report.
all 3 senators and 2 representatives.
Who did not sign it?
Representative Chairwoman Villio.
Chairwoman Villio did not sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Members, before we take more questions, I would just like to tell you, when this bill got started, it was to try and keep it out of the reach of kids, increase regulations of the industry. I really think we did just what we set out to do. This will no longer be in C-stores without gas. This will be behind the counter. You have to be 21 years old. We decreased the milligrams a whole lot. There were drinks that was 40 milligrams. We've now maximum of that is 5. There were packages that had a total of 400 milligrams THC because they would put like 30 or 40 gummies. We limited that to only 8 gummies per package. It cannot go more than 40 milligrams. We increased the testing. We also encourage LDH to start doing more testing within the state of Louisiana. I think that pretty much covered it all, but we limited where you can sell. We limited the milligrams. We increased the testing. We put it behind the counter. You make them 21. So that pretty much is what the bill does.
Rep. Edmonston for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Miller, a couple of things that I'm not sure of. You said the gummies, you decreased that from something to something. Repeat that for me.
So just an example, I know I seen a bag that had on it like 400 milligrams THC. And I was like, what can produce 400 milligrams? Well, they had gummies that were 8 milligrams, but if you multiplied by 50 gummies, it was 400 milligrams. So what we did, we limited every package to 40 milligrams. Nobody can now produce anything that's legal in Louisiana over 40 milligrams of a total package. So that's 8 gummies.
So 8 gummies versus what we had was like 50.
Some people would put 50, yes, ma'am. And the marketing on it was 400 milligrams. And to me, it wasn't misleading, but it was misleading. And that we no longer can do that.
Okay, and the technical amendment, you clarified that. Can you repeat that for me?
So when we're working with the industry on the testing, so you get a distillate that you use to make the product. So initially we would test that distillate for like a 5-panel, I think it's like metal and different solvents to make sure that's not in there. And then we was doing the potency on the final batch product. Actually, they said it's better to switch it because while you're making the product, you want to make sure that there's nothing like heavy metals or anything get in that gummy. So you want to test the final product for the 5-batch panel.
So are we testing for the amount of THC or the heavy metals in the both?
The potency and the 5-panel, I can't find the definition in here.
Okay.
It's metals and
Yeah.
pesticides and stuff like that.
You know, it concerns me just a little bit that we have 10 pages of amendments in something that's so controversial, and we didn't really have, because I can't break this down in just a few minutes. Yeah.
I get it, and listen, they did all of this because the amendments was, a lot of this, they just changed like one word and put them back in, but I promise you the only thing changed from the Senate version is what I told you. I agree with you, it is very hard to read because they would delete a page only for like one word.
And more than hard to read, it's such a, you know, it's such a passionate and controversial debate that I wish we had, you know, a little bit more time. Let me see if that's all I had. And the tincture, Representative Thomas asked you about it. I'm sorry, review that again for me.
So you use a drop. A lot of people take like 1 drop in their tongue once a day, and currently the law was 0.3. The federal law in the Farm Bill allows you to put 0.3% THC relative to the weight of this volume, and so
Now it's 30 milligrams, which is an ounce. Is that what you said? Am I right?
yes. But before with that law, they were able to do like 80, 100, et cetera. I'm not sure what was the highest, but we went to 30 to limit it.
So I'm just thinking, golly, I mean, you can take as many drops on your tongue as you want to, up to 30 milligrams.
I would hope no one would do that.
I would too, but you know, that's kind of tricky to me. Okay, thank you so much, Representative Miller. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, ma'am.
Rep Brown for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chairman Miller, can you tell me where we ended up with convenience stores?
Convenience stores that sell gasoline is currently banned from selling this product. Listen, I get it. They feel like we're being unfair to them, but that was one of the main issues we kept hearing was kids going into convenience stores and they were seeing this product.
Okay, I understand you, but can you help me understand the difference between the corner convenience store that can sell it, which is in the neighborhood, versus a convenience store that is selling fuel that cannot? I don't see the difference there.
There's more convenience stores that this is being selling when people are stopping to get fuel and the kids are going in.
Than corner convenience stores?
I don't have any corner convenience stores in my district. I'm not sure. It was trying to be defined at one point, and I think Senator Presley bill about the square footage, but we couldn't reach a compromise on what was the correct square footage to do. Like how could we limit your corner convenience store? 1,200 square feet. He had 75.
But other places that sell fuel can.
Truck stops can.
Okay, thank you.
Rep DeWitt for a question.
Rep, tell us again. We can not get it with your bill. What happened basically over there that changed with the convenience stores? Tell me why or we're not going to allow it in convenience stores? And do you have any idea how many convenience stores are we talking about that's fixing to be out of the hemp business?
I don't have any idea, but throughout negotiating this bill, that was a sticking point, that they wanted them out of convenience stores that sold gasoline.
Because they think that's where the kids are picking it up?
Listen, to be honest, when we did the bill, that particular thing, if I will be honest with you, I would say should have never been. As far as having it in convenience stores that's next to a kid candy or something, that was totally unacceptable. Now, what we're doing in this bill is moving everything behind the counter. But I just think that so many individuals seen it in those areas to where it was a sticking point. They wanted it out of there.
So I guess where the issue is, I think with my colleague over here, is we're gonna have it in some stores and not in others, and we're discriminating against fuel stores that sell fuel versus ones who do not.
I wish it wasn't like that, but it wasn't my decision, but it's in the bill that way.
Okay, and so when are these folks when will this go into effect, this bill?
This bill is going to go into effect immediately, but the products that we're going to allow them until January 1st to sell their products.
So you're going to
Convenience
give them
stores, I would think immediately they would,
Yeah, so you're going to give them 6 months, basically,
yes,
to get rid of this product.
yes.
And what if they currently have leases that are year leases at their store that do mostly sell this stuff?
If they don't sell gasoline, they'll be exempted.
And if they
That
do,
store that sells gasoline, I would think it's a convenience store, so it sells everything, not just this product.
so y'all couldn't come up with something together to put it behind the counter, get it away from the kids where they couldn't see it, and get it out of there, because
Thought process was, let's slow this down, let's back up, let's backtrack, let's pause for a year, and if we think next year we need to come back and consider a convenience store again, we will. That wasn't my idea, but everything that I wanted is not in this bill.
yeah, I just think we're setting a dangerous precedent that this body voted 2 or 3 years ago to put these people in business or allow this to be sold, and now we're going to take that permit away.
Trying to keep it away from children's reach.
Look, putting it behind the counter is going to keep it away from them, but I just think we're setting a precedent that to do away with folks' business after we gave them a permit, and we're going to basically put them out of business, or put the farmers that are doing this hemp, that are growing this hemp, basically putting them out of business also.
This bill is good for 1 year. If we take a step back, try to get it out of the eyesight, the view of children, and next year we think that should be reconsidered, I think we can revisit it.
Do you have any, Rep. Swagel had for instance, that happened in mine and Rep. Larberdane's district, of kids bringing it to school. Do you have any other instances out there that this actually has been going on? It's an ongoing problem that kids are so to speak, ODing on it. Tell me more about that.
Pictures that you see on that that's being shared is typically the same picture, so I question some of these stores. But what I have not found yet is exactly which store they're saying they're buying it from, because it could be purchased online. But once again, it was a sticking point. Get it away from the kids' view. So that was the starting point, was let's take it out of convenience stores.
So who regulates this?
ATC.
Okay. How many arrests or how many tickets have been issued for minors purchasing this?
From my understanding, very few.
Any number? Is this
I
a
don't want to
problem?
misrepresent. When I spoke to ATC commissioner early on, and he said it was very few reported issues, and compared to alcohol, it wasn't even comparable.
Well, that's a good point. Alcohol's, I'm sure, way worse than this.
Representative, I'm with you. I'm just trying to pass a bill, and that was the sticking point with the opposition to get it out of convenience stores, and out of good faith effort, that was like the starter. I would say let's take a step back. Let's see what happens this year, and if everything cleans up and is safe, let's have the debate next year. I'm not the one you have to convince, but I know it's my bill, so you have to ask me that question.
That's all. That's all. Thank you.
Rep. Walters for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Miller, would this bill impact a child who's taking CBD tincture for seizures?
CBD with no THC, it will not impact.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, members, we have about 8 people lined up for questions. Is there an objection to granting an additional 5 minutes? Remember, it's 5 o'clock. Hearing no objections, the member has an additional 5 minutes. Rep. Boyer for a question on the bill.
Chairman Miller, with regards to the convenience stores not being able to sell the products, can grocery or convenience stores still sell CBD products that don't contain THC?
This bill does not regulate CBD products that doesn't contain THC. So I would say yes.
They could still sell them.
Yes.
Thank you.
Rep. Bacala for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Representative Miller, I do appreciate you made a commitment that you would come back here whether you liked it or not. And I appreciate the fact that you're back here and maybe you don't like everything about this. But in a nutshell, where do we become more restrictive and where do we become less restrictive than current law?
The current law, but not compared to other states, just our current law. So what we did was we decreased the total packet size. We decreased each gummy size from 8 to 5. We decreased, so everything is decreased. We didn't increase it. To be in a nutshell, I can go over it all, but we didn't increase anything. Everything in this bill decreases.
So we didn't loosen any regulations, we tightened everything?
We may be one of the most, in the southern states, we're now going to be the most conservative, restrictive state in this industry.
Thank you.
Rep. Carrier for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rep. Miller, you keep using the term the industry. Just who is the industry and how do you communicate with them?
Which, you talking about the retailers or the growers?
I don't
or
know. You keep
producers?
saying the industry.
So there's some individuals in the back that's been here throughout this whole session who are either growers, producers, or retailers.
Okay.
That's who I refer to when I say the industry.
All right. And where are these farms located? Where they grow it?
I don't throughout the state. I couldn't tell you any particular. I know in my parish we have several.
Okay. We just have crawfish farms. Just saying. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir.
Rep. Robbie Carter for a question.
Representative Miller, did you know I support more regulations and I'm going to vote for the bill? Just one question. Is there anything in this bill that restricts where they can be located?
It restricts who can get one and how do you get it, but it doesn't, no locations, like no physical.
Like on a Class A permit, a city can say you can't be within 300 foot of a church or a school. Is that in this bill?
Class A permit, remember, we're grandfathering them in, so there won't be any more new.
No, but I'm saying, what if you just have a freestanding store that doesn't have fuel? Can they be within the 300-foot zone?
I would say no, because you have to go through ACC, and there's the same regulations as alcohol.
I don't know about that. Maybe we need to look at that next year.
Sure.
Rep. Horton for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Chairman Miller, for answering our questions. Can you tell me how law enforcement feels about this industry?
I can't. I know I was told that my sheriff supported it and several sheriffs did. I would want to say overall, the association initially, they put out a card against it. I'm not sure if their stance changed or.
Yeah. I understand.
I don't want to answer that.
I understand. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Rep. Carlson for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chairman Miller, you said the only restriction that I've heard in, I guess, tightening regulations or restrictions is the amount of milligrams per serving or per package, correct?
There's a lot more that we can.
Can you
discuss.
go over some of this for me? And this is why, because is there anything that limits the number? If I was just buying one package and we've lowered the number of milligrams, what stops me from buying 2 or 3 packages to achieve the same number of milligrams of THC?
There's nothing that limits that.
Okay, so effectively, the lowering number of milligrams of THC in a serving or in a package doesn't really have any impact because I'll just buy another package. So can you tell me what other restrictions have been put in place that protect kids, that protect some of the negative impacts that we're seeing from these products?
Protect kids, you now have to be 21. It's removed out of C-stores. It goes behind the counter. It has child resistance package. It does everything we could to protect kids. And once again, I have no record of any exact store in Louisiana that we found that sold this to kids. Every store you hear, there's no addresses to the exact store that sold it.
All right, thank you.
Rep. Furman for a question.
Representative Miller, I just want to make sure I understood your exchange with Representative DeWitt. So what you'd like to see happen is for something to get passed, then the plan is going forward to pass additional legislation to expand the industry's market?
Let me be clear. I said
No.
if this body, I'm trying to answer, if this body thinks that they should come back next year and debate C-stores again. Me personally, I don't think I'm bringing this legislation again next year. This is taking my whole session. But if I'm hearing people complain about potential unfairness of C-stores. So what I'm saying is next year, we all have an opportunity to do, I think, 5 non-fiscal bills that if someone would like to bring it, it can be discussed again next year. But I did not say that I was committing to it. No, sir.
Okay, but you did say that you would expect legislation to be filed to expand the footprint of hemp products.
If I said expect, I didn't mean that. I just meant that if it's something that's an issue that's important to a legislator, they can file it to have the discussion.
Yeah, no, I get it. I guess that's just a little bit concerning since it seems like this has been sold as the compromise, the deal, and that this is it. But obviously that is not the case.
Let me be honest with you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. To finish answering, when I say a compromise, neither side likes this bill. And so, if someone decides that they want to file something next year, that's their choice. But neither side likes this compromise.
You have a right to close.
Members, it was a long session. This bill took up a lot of my time, but I think it was the right thing to do. I think tightening the regulations was the right thing to do. Making sure we do our best to keep it away from children was the right thing to do. And I definitely think this legislation pulls back on the industry, slows it down, adds more regulations, and it's for 1 year. And next year, if there's more discussions that have to be done, we all have an opportunity to file bills. But I would ask you to support this bill simply because, like I said, no one likes it. I don't even know if the hemp industry thinks I'm a champion or if I went against them. But it was the right thing to do. I met in the middle on a lot of things that was asked from both sides. I ask your favorable passage of this bill.
Reverend Earl moves for the adoption of the conference committee report. And many in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. Madam Clerk, please open machines. Members, vote your machine. Miller, yea. Members, vote your machines. Members, vote your machines. Members, are you voting? Clerk, Bayham nay? Yea. Bayham, yea. Clerk will close the machine. You have 72 yeas, 30 nays, and the conference committee report is adopted. Madam Clerk.
The House in receipt of